I just knew, given the strains of the musicians on a competition like this, that I didn't want it to be about pandemic angst. You know, I didn't think we needed a piece like that. I just saw some kind of fun escapade. And so the idea came up of making it about a heist. I just thought, well, you know, everyone likes a good heist story. So I simply Googled, you know, famous art thefts. And you get blogs with tons of these, you know, at least like lists of 10 and stuff. And I read through all of the stories, and I certainly didn't want any of the ones that ended in violence, right? But then suddenly there was this story about the real-life theft of the Mona Lisa, and I read the details, and I just thought, this is just, it reads so ludicrously, and yet it all happened. This is a piece. This is a piece.
You know, since we began BISQ 1983, the importance placed on the commissioning and performance of a new work by a Canadian composer that was required to be performed by all of the competing quartets has been a really important feature. And interestingly, that round where all of the quartets that are here walk out on stage one after another and perform this new work that nobody's ever heard before has become maybe the most popular round that happens at the competition.
BISQ is a very unique situation because my life typically is I work on a commission and then I meet with the musicians. I might meet with them, you know, a few weeks before we sort of put the finishing touches of the pieces or something, you know, but rarely do I get a lot of sort of workshop time. But it's only usually with one group. Within the space of 2 days of rehearsals, I've heard 9 quartets, so 36 musicians coming together to create their own, to put their own stamp on the piece. And I was very conscious as I was creating the piece that, you know, hopefully, I like to think that I've designed it in a way where they can bring their creativity to it. That was the idea, and even in the performance notes, you know, the first thing it says is be creative. You know, this should be a vehicle for your personality. So it really has been remarkable. You walk out of one room having heard one interpretation, very compelling. You walk into the next room and then something just comes at you from a completely different direction. And it's equally compelling. And of course, at a very, very high technical level. So it's like Christmas, yeah. This is just a general note for this section. So this is the first time we hear this sort of Mona Lisa theme. And in this section, ideally, what we want to hear is a really good contrast between foreground, middle ground, and background, just like a painting, right? So when you play these sort of unison things like the triplet in 14, which is very obviously motivic, and the melody, you know, that should be like right up front.
Has been amazing. I find it an amazing piece of contemporary music. It's always scary when you know that you're gonna get like a commissioned piece or a newly written piece and you don't know what it's gonna be. And I can tell you that we're extremely happy that this was the piece.
I'm a big fan of Dinuk, and I think he's a wonderful musician, and to experience the birth of a new piece of his is exciting just from an audience member's point of view. But to hear and see the way that the quartets are going to bring the music to life, but they're also, I mean, from a very practical standpoint, they are tasked with surmounting a certain set of problems. You know, that's kind of what learning a new piece is about. They are all starting from the same place.
When we just looked at the piece for the first time, we couldn't have imagined this would be the piece commissioned for the competition. Mm-hmm. So theatric, so much joy and humor.
It really pushed us out of the box, and we've never encountered a contemporary piece like that, especially for competition, and we really just enjoyed the entire process, and I would say we became actually different, more theatrical musicians because of it, and we found ourselves, when we were rehearsing the Dinuk's piece, we were like, oh, why don't we apply that to some of our other pieces as well, because we're so engaged, we're so alive when we're playing, why don't we just put that to everything else we do? So I would say it actually affected the group way more than just that piece.
Working on Dinuk's piece has been a real treat for us. When we first worked on the piece, we were kind of scared about all of this rhythmical aspect, but then it just comes easily to you because it's such an organic music. And you have like many influences from all over the world, which is something that has been so fun for us to really look for the right sound, to evoke a type of music from all over the world. So that was really, really fun. Then there is a lot of improv too. And Adrien, the first violin, really enjoyed looking for some jazz improvisation style during the piece. We tried to add our own interpretation by a little bit more humor as well at some point. But it's really epic also. We have like this kind of soundtrack music again. You can feel that in his music as well. It's really well written for the quartet. I mean, it's a great piece. We'll play for sure next season.
One thing I think about is how we infuse joy into music. Because, I mean, let's face it, the world is a difficult place. And I think everyone has their own approach to making art. And I think part of mine, just part of it, because there are many other parts, and I spoke about the sort of cultural balance aspect of it, which is a big part of it. But a part of it is using music to find a sense of balance that would otherwise elude you, because you can't really find that balance in a difficult world. And hand in hand with that is some kind of search for beauty, you know. That's for me personally. But yeah, I would say that I use the music to try and search for some kind of beauty, you know. Not that you don't have it in, you know, family and other art and all the other amazing things, you know, in your life, but you're still living in a tough world, you know, and you're seeing all kinds of things that you can't fix. So then thank God that we have art, you know.